कस्तो मजा हैरेलैमा रमाइलो काली ओराली ये हवाए गुनगुनाए पूछे तू है कहाँ तू है फूलों में कलियों में या मेरे ख्वाबों की गलियों में. Thank you so much.
We are back again with another enriching and enlightening episode of One Voice, a voice that screams the names of those unsung heroes of our society who are working day and night to make our society a better place. For today's interview, we have with us an NGO based in Darjeeling, namely Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru Trust. It was started in 2017 and their main motive has been to bring back the lost essence of Darjeeling. They are working on various fields like poverty, education, health, youth affairs, and etc.
We are highly honored to have the General Secretary of Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru, Mr. Rahul Pradhan, who is also the recipient of All Heroes Award. He received the award on 7th of February 2020. Besides social service, his interest also revolves around quizzing and classical music.
Yeah. So now, sir, without any further delay, we would like to start off with the questions which we have prepared for the interview. We all know that starting an NGO has never been an easy task, and it's not a cup of tea for everyone. So, sir, my question to you is how the founding group did came up with such an idea, such a good idea, and what has been your driving force so far?
Okay. Well, this is the first question that always comes to mind, when we talk to people. So they ask us how we all started about. I graduated from Delhi University in year 2010 in physics from Kirimal College. So I had this friends from North Delhi, from northern part of the country, also from south part of the country, and they're all fascinated about Darjeeling, there in Delhi. So I always wanted them to come and visit our place, and by chance they did, but it was 6 years later. So in 2016 they came, two of my friends, and I received them at Bagdogra airport, and I took them first to Sikkim. And after we spent around 2 or 3 days there at different locations in the state, and thereafter we crossed over and we came to Darjeeling. So in the morning when we were there, we were taking the stroll around Chaurasta, and we were moving towards Tumsung area.
Okay.
And there happens to be this dumping ground that's just located next to the horse stable over there.
Yes.
And and that dumping ground had been strewn. It was overflowing with garbage, waste, and trash all around, and it was all strewn all over the path. And tourists and locals alike were finding it very difficult to move along that path, and it was smelling like anything. So one of my friends, he just took a jibe at me and said like, "भाई तुम्हारा दार्जिलिंग तो केवल फिल्मों में अच्छा दिखता है यार, वास्तव में तो बहुत गंदा है." And this really struck me, and like someone who is very passionate and in love with his hometown, and to have his guests come over from Delhi and to talk about like that in your hometown, like it really got me. So what I did was I took pictures of the dumping ground, and I uploaded it on my own personal Facebook wall. And it was around 10 in the evening by the time I had uploaded. And I had asked and I had like it was a skating remark on the 32 ward commissioners of Darjeeling municipality. As you know, cleanliness is the prerogative of the municipality. And I had said like the 32 ward commissioners should need to be like 32 teeth of a human mouth. They should be able to chew and grind all the problems of the town and find solutions, right? So, and it was just a casual post, and I slept over it. In the morning when I opened, and like it so happens like the first thing you do is like you open your phone and you check your WhatsApp and Instagram and Facebook, right? So like I got a barrage of messages, like, and overnight the entire post had gone viral, and there were 300 plus comments that had come overnight. And people had commented left, right, and center. Like 95% of the posts that came in were very positive. There were few people who had questioned me myself as what I, as a responsible citizen, was doing to, just not lay the blame on the administration, but as a responsible citizen, if I ought to be, if I claim to be, what am I personally doing for this? So it's really struck me again. Yeah, something needs to be done. So I called a meeting of all those people who had commented, all 300 of them. I personally went to their personal profiles, and I contacted each one of them, and I told them, let's call a meeting. But eventually, when the date of the meeting did come and we had finalized a venue, hardly like 5% of the people I contacted came over.
Yeah.
So
They did not turn up,
yeah,
like.
they didn't turn up. So that was another set of processes, thinking process that struck me, and I said, like, people are very opinionated in our society, but when the time comes to walk the talk, they hardly do so.
Yeah.
Thereafter, like, we met and we said, like, we need to give a name to this initiative, right?
Okay.
So it's a, like, it's high time people shut them out and really actually do something about it. So we said it's high time Mukh Bandh Garera Ab Kaam Suru गर्नुपर्छ. So it's Mukh Bandh
Yeah.
Kaam
The
Suru.
name only, it sounds
Yeah.
so
Yes,
interesting.
agree.
Like,
Yeah.
close your mouth and just
Exactly.
do the work.
Yeah, like, you should not always blame, point fingers on others. That's what I feel. Because if you start doing so, there are n number of problems in the society, and people will go around and around those problems, never finding a solution to it. So it's better to just shut your trap and walk on it, right? So that's Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru, and that's our philosophy, for guiding philosophy for last 3.5 years now.
So, moving on to the second question, we saw that you have worked really hard in collecting funds and raising funds, and recently you are also selling celebrities, and you have also organized events like Quizling in the year 2017, rather than just asking for donations. We think it is a great initiative on your part, but we are also aware of the struggles that might have come along in your way in your entire journey. So, sir, our question is, according to you, which method of fundraising is more difficult? Is it through donation or by organizing such events?
I think, like, the answer lies there in your question itself. Like, uh, as an angel, like, when we started off, right, we had this utopian idea that we are going to change the society, and we had this magic wand and abracadabra, and everything goes off. Like, but it never happened.
No.
So when we went about doing our job and we were struck with reality, then we found out, like, the idea needs to be there, yeah, action needs to be there, but that action needs to be followed by financial support as well. So moving around doing all those things, it was a very tough ask for us, because, like, I'm the eldest one in my NGO, in our public charitable trust, and all of our members are mostly from all of them are from schools and colleges. In fact, like, our deputy secretary is the youngest trustee in the hills right now. He is only 18 years old.
Okay.
So that's and the median age of our NGO is just 22 years. So most of our members lies in that age bracket.
22.
So, and people, when we go about asking funds to them, it's, I don't know whether it's there in our in Indian culture or something, but, like, the youths are always like, इतना छोटा छोटा बच्चा है और ये क्या कर लेंगे.
Yes, sir.
It's like you're just ticked off by
That-
the
Yes,
society.
people are always
Yeah,
skeptical about
it's
giving funds.
about the youths especially. And, like, and I remember one time when we went about asking for donations, they asked us, तुम्हारा माँ बाप को लेके आओ.
Yeah, the mindset has not yet changed.
Exactly. So, like, and for donations, and we went about, we said, like, we can't just go around asking people. They may give it to once, they may give it twice, but thrice, then they will start,
Yeah.
getting irritated or not. So we need to have a basic source of income by which we can fund our social activities. So we did fundraisers. We have an annual event with which we fund our activities.
Okay.
Like, under the Department of Education, we have the GTA Inter-School Quiz that we conduct.
Quizling.
Yeah, Quizling. That's like the largest quizzing event in the entire hills, where we have more than 300 plus schools that participate on, from all the board. It's not just restricted to Madhyamik or ICSE, but even from CBSE and Cambridge board as well. So, and we have then only that portion was not enough, so we started doing commercial ventures as well.
Okay.
So we started selling celebrities, as you
Yeah,
mentioned.
that was like recent.
The
Fundraising.
recent one, because we have to move with the time.
Yeah.
Like, and there's a motive behind selling celebrities as well. It's not just collecting funds for our organization, but also to revive the local economy as well.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
provide employment to our own
So
youths there in
it's
the
true
hills.
that over the years we have lost our culture somewhere in westernizing.
Yeah, exactly.
And this was the right time for, like, the
The
Dasai
moment was
time,
apt.
the Dasai
The
time,
timing
and
is,
yeah.
it's all about timing.
Yeah,
Like, it
and-
was a sixer that Sachin Tendulkar, like, hit it off the ground. So funding is important portion, and that's what most of the youth organizations that have like trying to replicate our model in the hills, they find it very difficult. But I myself and most of our members, being from a very sound financial background, like we get support from my parents as well.
Okay.
But over the years, you won't believe. Like I would like to share this one anecdotal piece as well. Like we there's under the children healthcare sector, we run this project called Project Child,
Child.
Yes.
and all of our projects that we do, it's all original ideas.
Okay.
We have not replicated it from anywhere. It's just like as the moment
It's
came,
very
it was the need of the hour.
Ah,
As so, we were approached by this family. Whose 18-year-old child was suffering from kidney failure,
okay.
both double renal failure. So he was undergoing dialysis for last 3 to 4 years, and when we visited them here at Said Nagar itself, and the family is from Dhotri tea state. So they were staying here, the mother and the child, and they were under very financial constraint, and the father, who was a dipsomaniac, was not looking after them.
Okay.
So we had to find funds as to how to go about, paying around 12 to 15,000 per month for only his dialysis, and we needed extra money for his injection as well. And keeping a patient under dialysis is not the solution to a kidney problem. You need to get it transplanted as well. People started donating in, but at the second or third, fourth month, the funds dried up. So I used to wear a golden ring on this hand. So I sold off my golden ring, and our finance secretary, she sold off one of her earrings, and we collected funds, and we took that money, and we took him to Kolkata, to Ravindranath International Hospital. It's at Mukandapur, and it's supposed to be the best kidney hospital in the entire state, at least in eastern India as well. So we got his HLA and CTC test done. We got his legal papers done from Alipur court, and we got his CM fund done, then PM fund done, and finally, like, he's at the cusp of getting his kidney transplant done. So running an NGO is not just about the will, but there needs to be financial backing as well, and you need to be ready for all the vicissitudes that come along with it.
Like, sir, hearing you, like, you sold your ring and ma'am sold her earrings. Like, from here we can come to know that, like, it comes from within, not for a namesake.
Yeah.
So this is a great thing, sir. You all are doing, like, selling rings and
So
doing.
your dedication for social service and
Yeah.
all, it's unmatchable.
Yes, sir. So now moving further with the question, sir. While going through your article, I came across with an initiative, namely Project Virus. It will be kind if you let our audience and the viewers know about the project and inspire them to do the same.
Yes. We were already working in the poverty elevation sector. So what we had done is, like, we had set up a donation box at the center of Chaurasta, and we asked people to donate their old used clothes and shoes and their books, their toys, all the items that they have just trashed it away in their home.
Yeah.
They can just throwing it off in the jora and blocking the joras during monsoon season and creating havoc. They can come and simply donate it in the
Yeah.
boxes. And with that, we went about in different villages in and around Darjeeling Hills, and also to tours as well. And during this pandemic, when the lockdown happened on 24th of March,
March.
then we started getting calls for plea from different tea gardens, because, like, our tea garden was already under constraint due to the 2017 agitation, and the people who were agitating and fighting for the 20% bonus last year, and March being supposed to be the first flush when
Yeah.
the premium tea is Darjeeling is
Yeah.
plucked, and if that entire season is washed away, the entire industry will undergo another crisis.
Yeah.
So people were finding it very difficult to run their houses. They had not been getting paid their monthly salary. They were not getting paid their bonuses. They were not being given any health insurances by the company. So what we did is, like, and since the word virus, why we chose virus was, we're trying to find positivity in everything. So like the pandemic and the coronavirus, the name corona itself was creating so much psychological and
It was
mental
creating a
trauma.
great havoc
Yeah,
on the
exactly.
society.
So we tried to find positivity in that as well. So we have a very good, I think, knack for keeping acronyms. So we find Project Child, Project
So
Virus.
this was basically for
Uh-huh.
the tea
Yeah,
gardeners, right?
this was for the tea gardens.
Okay.
So, under Project Virus, volunteers into rural upliftment service.
Okay.
What we did was like we asked people who were financially sound to donate to the tea garden workers, and we got contribution of around more to a tune of around 14 and a half lakhs. And
Okay.
with that amount of money, we were able to reach out to 33 tea gardens.
That is a
And
great
like
amount, like
that's
a huge
like
amount.
almost half of the tea gardens in the Darjeeling Hills, right? Over a span of 4 months. And we distributed more than 40,000 kilos of edible items. And it was just not for the namesake, like a photo op, opportunity. You go to a tea garden and you call upon poor workers over there and you just click pictures with them giving
Yeah.
some edible item. It was nothing like that. So, more, and you will find out in our Instagram profile as well, we have kept it to a bare minimum as well.
Yeah.
So the edibles that we distributed, it was enough for them to last for more than 2 months. And I think like
That's
we were able to support around 25 to 300 and 3,000 families, 2,500 to 3,000 families over the span of 4 months during the
like
lockdown.
giving food packages to 2,000 to 3,000
Mhm.
families, and that too for 2 months. That is a huge thing in itself. Like I've not seen like such NGOs who will give who are giving to food packages for 2 to 3 months. They generally give for a week or a 2 week. So that's a great thing, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on further, your trust it also takes initiative in providing medical help to needy ones, and we have also heard that you are treating a child suffering from anemia under the name Project Child. So could you please tell us about this project and how many people are you treating under it?
Like I've already given you the initial stage of how we
Yeah.
started Project
Yes.
Child, right? So, and thereafter, like once we got this success story done, so people came to know that we had ventured into children healthcare sector as well, and we got it, started getting pleas of help from all quarters, and we took in only those cases that were very difficult to get treatment done in Darjeeling. So for that, we needed to go to Bangalore or Kolkata, or Vellore or Delhi or something. So, under Project Child, which stands for Children's Healthcare Initiative for Lifelong Development, it's not just like we get you treated and we leave, and it's not like that. We keep that bond strong. So, there was another case that we did. There was this girl, a 12-year-old girl, suffering from brain tumor, and we got her to Wildfield Hospital in Bangalore and got her treated, and we have got her back as well, and she is recuperating right now. And under our education sector that we do another project called MEFAI, we will be
MEFAI,
sponsoring
yeah.
her education expenses as well from next year. So we want a lifelong development of that child and not just leave her or him after his misery is done over with, but like to keep in constant care so that he or she grows up to be a wonderful citizen and contributes to our society
Yes, sir.
eventually.
Definitely.
So Project Child, and and like all the patients that we are looking after, I'll call them patients,
Yeah.
that we are looking under Project Child are those with extreme chronic diseases like kidney failure,
Yes.
anemia, brain tumor. There's this, and talking about anemia, there's this 4-year-old child, and he suffers from a syndrome called Black Fan
Black fan.
Diamond
Yeah.
Syndrome, and he is the only case in the entire hills. And the case is so rare that finding blood donor for him is extremely difficult for us.
And I guess like it need to be done every month.
Yeah,
I guess
every
every
month.
month.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it needs to be done every month, and the only option for him is to undergo a bone marrow transplant, and which will only happen in AIMS. So we had already set up a date with the doctor over there, a meteorology department in AIMS, but the lockdown happened.
Yes.
And so it's not very feasible for us to take him to Delhi right now because of all the cases going
Cases
on.
only.
So only after like the entire corona thing dies
Yeah.
down and Delhi becomes safe to visit, we'll be taking the child to Delhi
Okay.
AIMS. And we hope to like under this project over the years try to set up a children's hospital in Darjeeling itself.
Yes, that is
Uh,
something really
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Because if you see, Darjeeling itself was developed as a health sanatorium by the Britishers, right?
Yeah.
Yes,
They
sir.
wanted to recuperate themselves from the sultry, dry heat of the Indian plains, the Indus summer. And over the years, the health infrastructure in the hills has deteriorated so much that the irony is now the patient needs to come down to the
Yeah.
Yes,
plains.
sir.
True.
So we want to keep that struck there in Darjeeling itself. So we are planning to set up a children's hospital in the long run under this project.
Great.
So again, coming back to the same question, like you all are treating so many patients under this project, child. So like, how do you manage the fund for it? Because medical bills at today's date, it's
Very high.
extremely high,
Yeah.
quite high.
Yeah, yes, that's a very good question. People, like, there are different local samajas in the hills as well, and there are other NGOs as well. What they do is like they set up a table in the middle of the town and
Yes,
they
sir.
ask for
Correct.
donations.
Yes.
Yeah, like that's the common practice. But that can only suffice the need of the patient for 1 or 2 months at max, and not going to rid him or her of the misery. So there are different government schemes already under the central and the state governments.
Okay.
So what we try to do is like we find the best suitable scheme under the government sponsored medical insurances there are, and we try to find um, get that patient
Okay.
sponsored under that scheme.
Scheme.
So, like for anemia, there's something called Rashtriya Bal Suraksha Abhiyan.
Okay.
So there is this program run by the Union Health Ministry itself. So under that scheme, all the medical treatment, the expenses will be taken care of by the government itself. So and even anemia, even the kidney patient, the transplant portion was only coming to around 6 to 7 lakhs, and raising 6 to 7 lakhs, even if you go by online portals, portals, it's a big ask,
It is.
you know. So there are government schemes. You get like PM relief funds are there, CM relief fund is there, you have the governor's fund. So we try to tap into the government schemes that are already there in
Okay.
the knowing, but our people are not
Not
aware
aware.
of, you
So
know.
that's
So
where
yeah.
it comes, like Mukh Bandh
Mm.
Kaam Suru is like they are always updated
Mhm.
to all the schemes,
Mhm.
and they stay updated. Yeah, this is
Uh-huh.
scheme and we can help patients through these
Mhm.
schemes. So moving further, like if I'm not wrong, on 11th of October 2018, these three NGOs, namely Marg NGO, Namaste Foundation, and Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru, addressed the media to highlight the fund run. That sounds really interesting. Can you let us know about more about the event fund run?
Uh-huh. So 11th of October is this International Girl Child Day, and which is celebrated in the hills with huge fanfare. And the positivity. One of the positive aspects in the hill is that the girls are looked upon with equal status as boys. So we don't
Yes.
have incidents of like female feticide or something like that, dowry and all that cases, and even like we have fewer cases of domestic violence against women.
Yeah.
So Mark, the NGO that always does this, they wanted help on that particular year, and we are in good terms with Mark as well as Namaste
Namaste Foundation.
Foundation. And so every year they come up with different events as to how to celebrate that particular day.
Okay.
So that year we had a fun run whereby we started flagged off the rally from Batasia,
Batase
and
log.
yeah,
Yeah.
and moved towards Chaurasta,
Okay.
and all the girls from different girls schools as well as co-ed schools had participated, with flashlights on,
Okay.
showing which was an apt metaphor that you need to shed light on all the problems of the girls around the world. So just because the girls in the hills are having a cozy life, it doesn't mean that the girls around the world are doing so as well. So and Malala Yousafzai was a huge inspiration for that particular year, because like I believe it was only 2 or 3 years after she had won the Nobel Peace Prize,
Okay.
right? So the fun run was there to highlight the issues, but moreover, this year we had another fun run, and our people had participated in that as well. So it's more to raise awareness on the issues that may have been dusted off the carpets in the hills.
Yeah.
So it's a great thing. It's not just about MBKS doing it, but there are many other organizations in the hills, and over the years we have seen a gradual rise in social awareness and
Mm,
consciousness of the people, at least the urban youths, so as to say. So it's a good thing that they are doing, and we will be supporting them in all their future activities as well.
Yes, I like this. That stereotype thinking needs to be removed. That
Yeah.
girls are not equal to the boys, or
Exactly.
boys are
Mhm.
like not similar. So that was a great like concept, or say great initiative to make over that thinking, or so that like girls are also important, and they should be more respected than the boys. Like that was
Yes,
Exactly.
definitely these small steps are going to add up to a big difference later
Yeah,
on in
yeah,
future.
true.
and the big difference is already there. If you go by the statistics, the hills have a better sex ratio than Kerala as well. So it's
Okay.
more than 1,000
That's
girls
a
for
really
every boys.
interesting fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving forward, we also came to know that you all visit various schools, colleges, and government offices, and you all have created a great hold in the hills. So as far as I know, you are also a revenue officer, and so how do you all manage to meet up with the regular meetups and events, despite of your busy schedule?
When I started off with the MBKS Trust in 2016, and we officially registered it on 18th of May 2017, I had not yet joined my post as a revenue officer, right? And that year was very lucky for me, I believe. Like I registered an entry and I got into WBCS as well. So I passed my WBCS and I got a posting. But unfortunately, the posting happened at a very far-flung place called Birbhum. So it's near Jharkhand border. So I'm still stationed there, but like as you say, like it may sound very cliche and filmy, but like as they say, if you really need want something from the bottom of your heart, the entire universe will conspire
Yeah.
Yes,
to get
definitely.
that to you. So I really wanted to come back to Darjeeling and serve the society here. So maybe like not through the bureaucratic process that I was transferred back, but my own health started deteriorating when I was in Birbhum, because my posting was just next to a coal block. And you know, during the day when the heat waves used to blow through the coal blocks, it used to carry all the silica dust from the coal mines towards our block office as well. So over the years, as I started inhaling that silica dust, I contracted fibrosis in my left lungs. So I had to eventually ask for a transfer on the medical grounds, and it's under process. But the government, they were very happy to let me go back to Darjeeling and at least report to the local department over there, the land reforms department there. So for the last 3 years now, I've been there in the Darjeeling and managing my office as well and managing trust as well. So I think it's all God's miracle of blessings that He really wanted us to walk through, get this done. So
Yeah,
it's
during like during your difficulties also, like you like God was there for you, like because you're doing for the people, so God is also there for you, that he like somehow managed all the things for you, like
Yes,
during your health
it
issues also.
highlights the perfect example of where there is will, there is way.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Talk.
I don't mind my blushing. I'm like all those good things coming from you, the appreciation,
Okay.
like it's
No, sir,
very
because it's
overwhelming.
coming from within, because you
Yes,
all are doing a great job. It's like
Thank you so
we are
much.
highly amazed by your
Thank
dedication.
you
yeah,
so much.
because it's have been only 3.5 year, I guess,
Uh-huh.
and doing such thing like a good number of people around in 3.5 years, it's quite good. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, now talking about the recent situation, the pandemic made for far-reaching impact all around the world. In this situation, we could also see the well-to-do people of the society suffering. As how did your trust cope up with the activities and distributed food to the needy ones?
The fund that we raised was not just through the local activities, but we did an online campaign. So there's this person called Dr. Sudarshan Tamang. He is one of the most brilliant luminary on the field of academics from the hills.
Yes, sir.
So he is from Rangliti State,
Yes, sir.
and he's presently posted as an assistant professor in chemistry department in Sikkim University. So I had a very good acquaintance with him, and since like we were from the same, basically from the same tea garden, so Rangli Rangliat. So he gave me this call on 27th of March, and the lockdown had happened on 24th. He called me up on 27th of March and he said it by like we need to do something for the tea gardens and yes, so there's a we need to get something done. So like I came up with the idea, then why don't we do this? We start an online fundraiser, and we used his goodwill as well and our goodwill as well. And like since like we had already worked for last 3 years as you stated, and people had already come to know that yes, ये काम करते हैं. So they, with the brand value that we had created, people donated us from all, not just from Darjeeling or nationally, they donated internationally as well. So and like we had already created a good rapport with our NGO network in Bangalore and Kolkata as well. So we contacted our NGO network in Bangalore, Azim Premji Foundation, right? And they donated around 2.5 lakhs from their end, but and that was all in kind. And with that amount, we just not relied on the well-offs like who were already under economic distress during the pandemic, but also on the NGO foundations, the networks, the corpus that had been created by the companies, the CSRs that they have to spend on a yearly basis. So we tapped in on all those untapped latent pool, the financial pool, and we were able to like really help the people. So I think like if there is, as you said, where there's a will, there's a way. If you have the will to serve the people, you will ultimately find the way. And the way for us was to tap all this untapped natural resources, I'll call them.
So upon checking the official handle, I saw that Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru is also doing a great amount of work for the tea garden workers, whether it be distributing food or health supplies. Your organization, it has been working as a backbone for the workers there. So are you doing this under a particular project, or is there any other reason behind it?
Um, there's the reason behind it. I think it was on a personal level. My mother is from a tea garden, so I have heard like though I stay in the town area in Darjeeling town, like I always go off to my maternal grandparents during a winter vacation, and I stay there. And tea gardens is where I like literally brought up. So I always had this personal touch to do something for the tea gardens, and I think this pandemic gave us a huge opportunity to do something for the people, and it not just highlighted us, but it also highlighted the misery, the sufferings that the tea garden workers have been under for last 200 years, I'll call them, because even from the very first tea bushes that were planted in Darjeeling way back in 1840s, 50s to this 2020 era, the tea garden workers have just been used as bonded laborers. They don't have any medical facilities, they don't have any educational insurances, even they don't have their own rights to their own land, where they have lived for generations, like 4 or 5 generations of people living under no land rights, and you can be like kicked off from your own house at the will and whim of the manager, the tea garden manager. It speaks volume about the kind of exploitation that goes on in the tea gardens. And though the tea gardens, and wherever we went, we asked people to accept the edible items that we have bought, not as a token of this the rich showing off that we have so much wealth with us and we can like feed you people. Not like that. We give that as a token of appreciation for all the work and the sweat, the toil they had, the labor they had induced in all their years to make Darjeeling a brand world over. It's yeah, Darjeeling is a brand because of them. If like India is a country because of our farmers. If our farmers dies, India dies too. If our tea is likewise, if the tea garden workers die, Darjeeling dies as well. Totally, it's as that as simple. So we need to keep this people and the economy, the local economy, which uh, supports more than half the total workforce in the hills. So we need to keep that going. And given all the climatic constraints, the economic constraints, the international pressure on Darjeeling tea itself, the tea from Sri Lanka, from Kenya, from Nepal, from Indonesia, Malaysia, finding better prices now in the international market, and our flavor, I don't know, somehow it's losing its touch, as it's not like what it used to be. Yeah, so because of that, and the unemployment, and one more interesting fact is like over all these years, even after 70 odd years of our independence, the tea garden laborers are still paid less than $2 per day. So
Yes,
like
sir, that
that's
is
lesser
very
than
true.
what the international labor force have ascribed it to be the minimum wage. So with that paltry sum of money, they need to like sustain the family, they need to
Yeah.
send their kids to school, they
Yes,
need
sir.
to look after their aging parents, they need to buy their utensils and other edible items. So the tea garden is suffering, and because of that there is going to be a huge employment crisis in the future, because no tea garden laborer wants his or her child to continue as a laborer in the tea garden.
Yes, sir,
So
definitely.
there's a huge social problems arising from tea gardens. Delinquency of children being one of them, youths being taken into drugs being another,
Yeah.
Yes, sir,
broken
definitely.
families being another ones, because the women are they are the backbone of the tea garden industry. So
Yes,
they somehow have an upper hand in the household, because they are the ones who are earning for the family,
and even the
and their
men are
parents, yes.
migrating to
Yeah,
the different
and the men,
places.
they find recluse in alcohol. So
Yes, sir,
because of
that is
that,
very true.
broken families are like they are growing in numbers in Darjeeling Hills as well. So we
Yes.
need to sustainably maintain tea gardens, so that it becomes a viable option for the future generation to come as well.
Yes, sir. Like while listening to you, you use the term drugs.
Uh-huh.
So are you eliminating those things?
Under our empowerment sector, we have this project called Project CEDAR,
Okay.
CEDAR. It stands for Committee for Rehabilitation and Eradication of Drugs Abuse. So, with the help of Darjeeling Police, we have run this project,
Okay.
whereby like we go to different villages that are susceptible, highly susceptible to drugs abuse, where
Okay.
the youths are high percentage using into substance abuse.
Yeah.
So, with Darjeeling Police, we have adopted this village, and by the terms that I have signed with Darjeeling Police, I'm not allowed to identify the village, so I won't.
Okay.
But there's this particular village that lies on a very lucrative drug route that comes from Bangladesh and Sikkim towards Darjeeling.
Okay.
So, and most of the peddlers, the drug peddlers in the hills, from this area in particular. So they have kind of a cartel, drug cartel. They have created
Okay.
a drug cartel in the hills. And with Darjeeling Police, we are trying to raise awareness. We are doing rehabilitation process as well. They have with Kripa Foundation. There's
Yes,
another NGO called Kripa Foundation that works on drug rehabilitation programs. So with the three of us, we have come tied together, and we are doing this awareness campaign as well. But if you ask me on a personal level, what the panacea to the drug problems in the hills is, well, there are two solutions to it. The one is preventive, another is curative,
Yeah.
right?
yes, sir.
The curative measures are something like rehabilitation.
Yeah.
If a youth is already into drugs abuse, what can we do to take him out of it? So that's a curative
Yeah.
measure. You have not prevented him in the first place going into it. Preventive measures are those which the administration does
Yeah.
to spread the use, to curtail the spread of use of
Yeah.
drugs in the society. But I personally, and our trust personally, believes that prevention is always better than cure. So
Yes.
if we prevent drugs abuse from taking place in the first place, we will not have to deal with all those drug addicts, caring and curing for the drug addicts, right? After the 86, 88 agitation that happened, and
That black
there was
movement.
the
Black
black
movement.
movement,
Yeah.
yeah. There was no drugs abuse case before that in the hills,
Hmm.
but after 88, through 90s and 2000s,
Yeah.
Darjeeling has now become synonymous with drugs abuse,
Yes, sir, that is
right?
very true.
So it's not just the locals that have to deal with this, but I think there is a hand of the government as well. I won't say state or center, but to curtail the secessionist movement, they call it. You need to apply all the tricks in the book, and this is one of the dirty tricks that the government is applying as well.
Yes.
Yes,
Because
sir.
I find it very difficult as how only the youths of Darjeeling is affected when the drug trail rises from Bangladesh, crosses into Malda, comes through Dakshin Dinajpur, then Uttar Dinajpur, comes to Chopra, then Siliguri. Or why not all the youths of this trail are affected? Why just the end consumer which are there in the hills are getting
Yes,
affected?
sir.
So
Right.
there's a food for thought. You guys, since you guys are a youth as well,
Yeah.
with conscience
Yes,
and
sir.
ready to question the power that may be. So this is one food for thought for you guys to ponder over
Yes,
as well.
definitely. So we'll like search over our
Hmm.
like
Yes, sir.
research against this
So
and
I actually have a personal question from my end.
Uh-huh.
I do hail from a tea garden. It is called Namring Tea Garden. I guess you know
Uh-huh.
about it. So what I have noticed over the years is that people, the tourists, and also us, we have been extremely fond of the unmatched beauty of the tea gardens. But however, the lesser known facts are the plight of the workers there. So according to you, from our end, what can we do for their upliftment?
From your end, your personal level, on a
Yes, a
personal
personal
level.
level, on our personal level.
On your personal level, what you can do is like you can encourage other economic activities in tea gardens. Like now, homestay, rural tourism is becoming a huge thing in
Yes,
Darjeeling Hills. People not just flock to the town areas anymore now, but they want to go and stay in a homestay in some rural area. So tea tourism, that's what we are calling it.
Yeah.
Tea rural tourism can be a huge thing, and you can promote it as well. And we are doing it ourselves as well. And wrongly, we are building our own homestay.
that's
So
really
yeah, we'll
nice.
be providing employment to youths there as well. So, and the same thing can be applied in Namring as well. We can
Yes,
promote
sir.
the products that arises from like sisnu, and
Yes, sir.
That leave.
that leaves that we
Yeah.
call it
Nettle leaf, nettle leaf.
those nettle leaves that can be used as a good fodder for the cattle, like it can be sold off to cattle markets here down in the plains. It's a good fodder, the cattle love it. In fact, like it can be a huge thing for them. And we have jharu as well. We have other items that grows
Yes, sir. Getting
alaichi,
vocal for local.
cardamoms. Like we should like take our economy away from tea, depend too much dependence on tea, and make it like sustainable for future as well.
Yes, sir.
Moving further, like your NGO has taken up many initiative and projects till now, which you have already told us before. But like I will request you to like brief about to our viewers also, like the project donation point, Yuva Uday, Phoenix, and MEFAI events, MEFAI initiatives. So
Okay,
like if
briefly,
you
if I am to say briefly about all these projects, we have around six sectors that we are working under right now.
okay,
In education sector, we have something called Project MEFAI. It
MEFAI.
stands for MBKS Education for All Initiative. So under Project MEFAI, what we do is we sponsor the education expenses of children belonging to economically deprived families in the hills. And it's not just restricted to the urban areas, but to the local tea gardens as well.
Okay.
So right now we have around 57 children under this project, and we are sponsoring their education in around 17 schools around the hills. So, and we eventually plan to take this number to 75 this year, and 100 and 200, and reach 1000 one year, one day. And also on the education sector, what we are doing is like as I said, we are doing the GTA inter school quiz as well. And beginning this year we'll be doing GTA inter college quiz as well.
Okay.
So that will be a huge thing. On the education sector again, we also have another project called MEFAI Infrastructure Fund, under which we are developing infrastructure facilities, educational infrastructure facilities in different rural schools. So the first infrastructure funding that we did was open a library at a school called Beton High School in Tugbar, Tea State. So we have opened up a Beton High School with the help of Mrs. Dilkumari Bhandari, who happens to be the ex member of parliament from Sikkim, and also the wife of ex-chief minister of Sikkim, Mr. Narba Abdul Bandari. So with her help, we have been able to open up a library there. And we have again, you are from Namling, so you'll know this. There's a school called Jimlang Uday
Yes,
Higher
okay.
Secondary School, right? So we had visited that school, and even after 50 years of its establishment, the entire infrastructure had gone dilapidated. So, and
Yes, that
any
is very
major disaster could struck any time, and any small quake over here in the hills can cause a loss of around 300 to 400 lives in that school. So what we did is like we got the entire building sanctioned under the North Bengal Development Ministry, and we have got the project for around 1.2 CR passed by the ministry. So now the entire school is going to be rebuilt. So under education sector, we are doing that. And in children healthcare, as I said, we have Project Child,
Child.
economically deprived families, again, those with chronic diseases, we are helping them. And in poverty elevation, we have Project DOPO, we call it, donation point. We get clothes from urban areas, and we donated it in
Yeah.
rural areas. Project Virus, Tea
Yeah.
Garden
And
is a
what
huge
about
thing.
that project
Uh,
Yuva Uday?
Project Yuva Uday, in youth empowerment sector, we have Project Yuva Uday and Project Sadaf, we call it. Yuva Uday, what we did was last year we found it, youths like in the hills, though they are getting educated in colleges away from Darjeeling, like in Kolkata, Delhi, even in foreign universities, they find it very difficult to express their idea back home in the hills and get their ideas implemented. Because like there's not a single platform in which they can come together and express their views and generate ideas, thoughts as to how we can like address the different social problems in the hills. So under Yuva Uday, what we did is like we hosted the first ever Gorkha Youth Summit last year, in which we got the youth Gorkha youths, not just Gorkha. The word Gorkha is very inclusive. It includes all the youths from other communities in the hills as well. So we got the youths from the hill communities under one platform, and we that was the first ever youth summit in the hills. And it was a huge thing because many ideas then came about. Project Virus is one of the ideas that came about because we had a speaker who had talked on depth about the tea garden workers and the plights. Project Virus was one of the ideas that came about. Then Project Cedar was one of the ideas because the DSP town himself had attended the youth summit there. And there are many more things. And in sports, like even in sports, like since most of our youths are into music and sports as well, we have a huge latent pool of talent that needs to be tapped. So under sports, what we have done is like we have joined hands with a local club called Young Shuttlers of Darjeeling, and we are trying to revive the beautiful game of badminton again in the hills through our association with them. And very soon we'll be hosting the first ever GTA Open badminton tournament as well under that. So we had different schemes. I think that's like off the top of the hat mind. I can remember them, and off and on, like we have our diplomatic events with other NGOs where we go and help with them. Like Mark being the International Girl Child Day is one of that. Namaste Foundation's program, we go and help with them. So we are always busy, constantly busy.
So we will also be loved like to be part of your initiatives, like help you all through the initiatives like project, or whether it be the Project Child or any other projects which you all are doing in the hills, because we can obviously travel hills and like help you out with your initiatives also. That
Yeah,
will
that
be
would
very
be
kind.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's high time the youths come
Yes.
Yeah,
forward to
yeah,
address the
true,
issue.
true.
Like the median age of the country right now is 27 years.
Hmm.
So half the population is below, is younger to me already
Yeah.
of the country.
Yeah.
So if we are given the voting rights at an age of 18, then why can't we given a more open space to voice our opinions as well?
Opinions, yes.
So it's high time the
Yeah.
youths take all the matters in their hand, and because like we are the future,
Yeah.
right? Maybe like 20, 30 years down the line, our parents won't be there to see what the
Yeah.
world is going to be. So 2050 is all up to us how we want to shape the destiny of our society and our country. So yes, I'd like to see more youths like you get
Definitely,
inspired and
sir.
like come on field,
Yeah,
Mukh
definitely.
Bandh and Kaam Suru.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely,
definitely.
definitely, definitely.
So over the span of 3+ years, your organization, it has done a great amount of social service. So my question is, in these 3 years, what is that one such activity which has helped you bring back the lost essence of Darjeeling, as that has been one of the motive of your organization?
Yeah, that's the bigger, motto with which we have been working to bring back the lost essence of Darjeeling Hills. And eventually, if we like grow one day beyond the territorial limits of the hills, so we might change that to bringing back the lost essence of West Bengal or something like that.
After
Maybe,
completing that,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe like after completing that task. So that one event that has really like all these events are like eventually trying to bring back the lost essence, right? But the one event that I really want to bring back is through education, because Darjeeling was always an educational hub. The kings and queens of our nearby state countries used to come and study here, right?
Yes, so a lot
But
of students from
yeah,
Thailand and
but there is an the reverse brain drain that has happened over the years now.
Yes.
The deterioration in the schooling standards of the hills, whereby like the schools, I myself is one from one of the most reputed schools, not just in the hills but in the country now.
Yeah.
Um, just to limit our schooling activities, our curricular activities to the hills and compete among ourselves. We are not going to be competitive nationally. I myself, I was a very good quizzer back in my school days. So
It is very
I was, yeah.
evident.
So I participated in something called Born with a Quiz contest. I don't know whether you guys remember or not, but Mr.
Yeah,
Derek O'Brien,
yeah,
who
I
is
remember.
now, yeah, Mr. Derek O'Brien, who is now the Trinamool MP,
Yeah,
was a quiz master back then.
I remember.
So he used to host this quiz called Born with a Quiz contest, and
Yeah,
it used to be aired in Sony TV
yeah,
on Sunday every
I remember.
12.
Yeah.
So we became the first school from the entire hills to represent Darjeeling in Born with a Quiz. So we got an opportunity to meet him, get featured in Born with a Quiz contest, and we came 24th eventually out of 4,900 schools all around the
That's great.
Asian continent, not just India but the Asian continent. So and eventually my knack for quizzing grew from there.
Okay.
So even when I was in Delhi University, I used to take part in college quizzing activities. I was told by one of my juniors that and my seniors as well that I am the first one from Darjeeling Hills to win the national inter-university quiz as well, as when I represented Delhi University.
Okay.
So quizzing is something that I really want to, and education is something I really want to bring back in Darjeeling Hills.
Yes, sir. Like
Yes, so
you mentioned that
Mhm.
the schools out there in the hills are like literally degrading because
Mhm.
I personally studied from West Point School, Darjeeling. Way back, the school like have had a different goodwill or different, like now I am hearing such
Mhm.
things like the school is about to like close or
Mhm.
something sort of thing. So what is the reason behind that the schools are getting degraded? Like because people from foreign come would come
Mhm.
here and study in the hills.
Mhm.
So what is
You
the
know, eventually education has become business.
yes,
yeah,
So,
correct.
and for any business to sustain, there needs to be political stability in that area. The political degradation that has happened in the hills after the 88 agitation and whatever the sudden bunds and agitations that we have on a very periodic basis now, it has become a huge mockery in the hills now.
yeah,
All this has only created, lost the brand value of Darjeeling as an education hub.
yeah,
So students from abroad, they don't want to come to Darjeeling. Students from nationally, they don't want to come to Darjeeling because they can be sent off anytime.
yeah, true.
Anyone, any leader can stand at the middle of the town and he can announce a band on that day.
Yeah,
Starting tomorrow, we are going on a band. And
yeah.
then the
That
entire
too
hills
easily.
Yes,
goes on a
sir, that
band.
is like
And because of that, the education of that student gets hampered. And in a very competitive world right now, where every marks matters,
Yeah,
where the cutoff percentage has reached 100%, right, where every point matters, to lose an entire academic year like that is a huge blot on the career of the students itself. So any sane parents would never like to send their kids to Darjeeling.
yes,
So what are we getting? Only the local products, the local students, which are getting into as the inputs, and the output is the same. So the output is deteriorating over the years because we are not getting students from abroad, from different states, and because of that, Darjeeling has now deteriorated. And it's not just the allied schools of the hills, but like, as you said, West Point is one of the schools, and I belong in that area. I live in Dali,
Dali.
so I and my cousin brother, is a teacher over there in West
Okay.
Point. So I have a very fond memory of West Point because I used to cross that school every time I used to go to my own alma mater, right? So to see the deterioration of the schools, the education level in the hills to such an extent that the brain drain that has occurred for so many years now, it's very hard for us to reverse it. But nevertheless, we are trying our best,
Yes.
right?
yes,
We
sir.
have the will, as we
Yes.
said, and definitely we'll find a way to
Yes.
get
Surely.
that revived as well.
Yes,
Surely.
sir. Because of this degradation in education, a kind of notion has
Mhm.
been created all over India. Like people from Darjeeling are this, that,
Mhm.
and lots of
Mhm.
things are going on
Mhm.
viral in social media as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I studied in Delhi, and like when I used to say I am from Darjeeling, people always had a very this romanticized version of
Yes,
Darjeeling.
yes,
From
sir.
me, Huna, and Mera Naam Joker,
Yeah.
and what the name of that movie?
Burfi. Burfi.
Anuradha. No, that Meri Sapno Ki Rani Kab
Yeah.
Aayegi
And
Tu,
one
and
movie Burfi
yeah,
Burfi,
for
Burfi and
Burfi.
all.
Burfi.
So people have a very romanticized version, like tea gardens and this and that, Darjeeling
Yes,
Kanchenjunga, toy train and all
Yeah.
that. But you really need to come and see what Darjeeling, the depth, the pit that Darjeeling is getting into
Yeah.
year on
yes,
year because of not just, and I'll solely lay the blame on our political leaders, frankly. I'll be as most candid with you guys. And if I can use this platform to say this as well, the political degradation that has happened in the Darjeeling is the ultimate problem, due to which every other thing, the social problems in the hills have arisen. The loss of education, loss of health infrastructure, use of drugs abuse, and
Loss of tourism
loss
sector.
of tourism sector, the plight of the youths in the hills, their migration from the hills towards other greener pastures. It's all because of the petty politics
Yeah.
that we have all degraded ourselves down to,
Yes.
and that really needs to be changed. So youths not just need to come up in social sector, but I think progressive youths like you need to take up political roles someday as well,
Yes, sir.
because politics is the ultimate form of social service, and it needs to be so.
Sir, keeping this in mind, on this note, I'll say one thing that we together, Mukh Bandh Kaam Suru and National Service Scheme Selection College Siluri campus can come together and fight for these issues. So on that note, with this we have come to the end of the session. It was a great honor to have you here with us. We are extremely grateful for the opportunity we got. We thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule and being with us today.
Okay.
So we are extremely happy to have hosted a renowned organization in our college today, and we also hope to help you with your future projects and set an example for good. Thank you once
Thank you
again.
so much. So it's
Sir,
time for Kick Me
yeah,
to make
sir,
my
sir.
Mukh Bandha.
No, sir, not yet, sir. If you would like to add few suggestions for our enthusiastic viewers to encourage them to get more involved in social work.
One suggestion I'm going to give to all your viewers is like you should not never wait for anyone to raise you out of your slumber, right? You should be the one motivating yourself, like, because you can't. Self motivation is the biggest thing that the youths can use to really rise up and fight for all the problems in the society. So get self motivated. No one is going to come and motivate you.
Yes.
So come out of that slumber, and if you really have the zeal and vigor to and you really feel passionately about something, an issue, it not be as diverse as what we are doing right now. It can
It
be
can be personal
to
basis.
animal you can fight for animal
Yeah.
rights, right? You can fight for human trafficking or child abuse or something like that. You can start with one matchstick, and that will light into a fire, a forest fire one day
Yes,
eventually.
sir. Sir, on a personal basis, I was going through your personal Instagram handle. There in the bio, I found that you are into classical musics and stuff. So I request you
Please
if
don't ask me to sing now. Is it?
I would request you if you could sing
If
a
you
few
wish
words,
to.
if you wish to, for our
Oh,
viewers.
that's a huge ask for me. Does it need to be a classical song?
No, anything, anything,
Any
any.
song.
Okay, I'll sing a Hindi song, okay?
Okay.
Hindi Nepali song,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I think like that will bring out the true essence.
Yes.
कस्तो मजा है रेलैमा रमाइलो काली ओराली ये हवाए गुनगुनाए पूछे तू है कहाँ तू है फूलों में कलियों में या मेरे ख्वाबों की गलियों में. Thank you so much.
You are a good singer too. Thank you for watching the interview. This was it for the second episode of One Voice. We'll be back soon with the other episode featuring other hero of the society. Till then, stay connected, stay safe, and help the needy ones around you.